But first, from Fox at 3 o'clock in New York City, the feds have been secretly recording the phone conversations of millions of us Americans and will continue to pull records for weeks. That's according to a new report in the British newspaper The Guardian. The House Intelligence Committee chairman says a domestic terror attack was stopped because of phone records collection. And now the White House is defending the practices. Here are the details. The Guardian reports that a federal security surveillance court ordered Verizon to hand over information on all of its phone calls that originate in the United States on an ongoing daily basis. According to the reporting of The Guardian, those records include phone numbers, times of calls, where they took place, but not the content of the calls. In other words, no wiretapping in this case. Civil liberties groups were very quick to condemn this report, but the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, the Michigan Congressman Mike Rogers, tells Fox News that program helped investigators prevent a terror attack on U.S. soil sometime in the last few years. And other lawmakers on both sides of the aisle told critics, calm down.
This is a program that's been in effect for 7 years, as I recall. It's a program that it's worked to prevent not all terrorism, but certainly vast majority of it.
I'm a Verizon customer. I don't mind Verizon turning over records to the government if the government's going to make sure that they try to match up a known terrorist phone with somebody in the United States.
It's stunning, isn't it? Fox News can't confirm the details of the classified court documents. The Guardian reports the court order took effect in late April and lasts through mid-July. Catherine Herridge is live in D.C. for us this afternoon. Catherine, what do we know about whether other phone companies, other cell carriers may have been affected by this?
Well, Chef, this court order authorizes the collection of so-called metadata that can be used to track a person's everyday habits and even the location where the calls were made. And on Capitol Hill during a previously scheduled hearing, Attorney General Eric Holder insisted Congress was not in the dark about the program, but there's little he can say publicly because it's highly classified.
With all due respect, Senator, I don't think this is an appropriate setting for me to discuss that issue. I'd be more than glad to come back in an appropriate setting to discuss the issues that you have raised.
Not addressing the specific case, Verizon told employees the law authorizes the federal courts to order a company to provide information in certain circumstances, and if they get one of those orders, they will comply. We heard from Sprint today that said they would not comment, and we're still waiting for a response from AT&T, but the ACLU says they believe other phone carriers are also subject to a similar order.
There's every reason to believe that the government has similar orders for other telephone companies, and perhaps even more troublingly, that it has similar orders for internet companies.
What seems clear from this court record in the British paper is this is what's called a rolling order. So every quarter there's a renewal to the court, and that looks like what happened in this case, Shep.
You know, I heard from a couple of senators earlier on this channel, Catherine. It sounds like this has been going on for a long time.
Well, that's right. The leadership of the Senate Intelligence Committee confirming for reporters that this is a long-standing program.
This is nothing particularly new. This has been going on for 7 years.
It's renewed every 3 months. They must go into court, and this is that renewal.
But that confirmation raises important questions over the accuracy of statements to Congress and to the public by the intelligence community.
Does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
It does not.
Not wittingly. There are cases where they could inadvertently, perhaps, collect, but not wittingly.
A recent Fox News investigation pushed the head of the National Security Agency to explain whether they would hold records of American citizens, and that idea was dismissed at the time as inconsistent with the NSA's mandate.
We don't hold data on U.S. citizens. Let me go back to the mission that NSA does. Foreign intelligence, with a focus on counterterrorism. That's our mission, is to protect this country from things like 9/11.
Senior members of Congress briefed on this program confirmed to reporters publicly that it's been going on for 7 years, yet we had public statements to Congress within the last 4 months by the head of the U.S. intelligence community that the NSA never collects on American citizens. And those two statements cannot be reconciled, Shepard.
Catherine, a senior administration official tells Fox News that this kind of surveillance is crucial to preventing terror threats. Team Fox coverage continues. Ed Henry is traveling with the president. He's in Mooresville, North Carolina this afternoon. How much heat is the president taking out of this?
Well, Shep, if the president thought coming down here to North Carolina to talk about the economy, middle class, education issues would get him away from some of those simmering controversies in Washington, think again. This is a whole new front in terms of pressure on the administration now about whether there's government overreach going on. You had a former Democratic Vice President Al Gore tweeting this morning that this blanket surveillance, in his words, was obscenely outrageous. And what we heard from Republican James Sensenbrenner, a top Republican in the House today, who was an architect of the Patriot Act several years back, is that he believes that this is now being, the law is being misused and they may need to go back and look at it, while Senator Harry Reid, the Democratic leader in the Senate, said everybody needs to calm down because this is not new. Take a listen.
I would see nothing wrong with targeting the phone records of somebody who is suspected of terrorism, but everybody who either sent or received a call from a Verizon phone and maybe the other cell phone providers, that was never the intent of the business records section.
Everyone should just calm down and understand this isn't anything that is brand new. It's been going on for some 7 years, and we've tried often to try to make it better, and we'll continue to do that.
Important to note as well, Republican Lindsey Graham, not usually a fan of the president, told Fox this morning that regardless of the wide sweep, if the government is focusing in on Verizon records of suspected terrorists or people that the government believes are talking to terrorists, he believes this program is sound. Shep?
But that's not what we're told they're doing.
Well, we're told that there's that wide sweep, but that they're not focusing in on everyone. What Lindsey Graham is saying is that if, in fact, this is the focus of it is just the people who are suspected terrorists, he's okay with it. Now, you're right that we don't have all the facts just yet. What the administration is pushing back, though, on is they say they've been reading in top lawmakers in both parties about what is the focus of this program. That's why they believe it's sound. The questions are going to persist, but the administration insists that lawmakers have been read in on the scope of this.
You bet they're going to persist. Stand by for righteous indignation. Ed Henry live in North Carolina this afternoon. All right. The president speaking live at Mooresville Middle School there, right behind where Ed was in North Carolina. If he makes news on this matter or others, we'll bring that to you. In the meantime, this event is streaming live at foxnews.com. You can go to foxnews.com, click the icon, and listen to it all you want. First, though, let's take this new matter to the judge. Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Harry Reid says, we should just calm down, Judge. This has been going on a long time. They've been able to stop some sort of terrorism, this, that, or the other thing. So just don't worry about it. Just relax, everybody.
See, the laws are really screwy here, Shep. The laws allow the executive branch, the president and his agents, to tell select members of Congress when they are doing things like that, but prohibits those members of Congress from telling the other members of Congress or the American people. Just because Harry Reid knew about this for 7 years and it's been going on for 7 years does not mean that it is constitutionally permissible. This is a fishing expedition on the grandest scale we've ever seen in American history. They are looking for a select group of people, and in order to find that select group of people, the Constitution says, present some evidence against them to a judge and you'll get a search warrant for their phones. Rather than doing that, they got a search warrant for 113 million phones.
That we know of.
That we know of. And they said to us, you know, don't worry.
It's fine.
Trust us. We're not listening to the calls. We're just keeping records of them. Who would trust them after this? The Constitution doesn't trust them. As Catherine Harris just pointed out, they lied under oath, this administration, when they were asked under oath, are you collecting information about American citizens? And Admiral Clapper, who's the head of all this, said, no, we're not.
Listen to Lindsey Graham. Senator Lindsey Graham, listen.
I'm a Verizon customer. I don't mind Verizon turning over records to the government if the government's going to make sure that they try to match up a known terrorist phone with somebody in the United States.
But that's not what they're doing. No, they're looking into all of our phones. All we know about is Verizon. That's the 100 and something million. There are other phone companies out there. Their records haven't leaked. Who are we to think they didn't do this with all of them? Of course we're to think that.
The whole purpose of the Fourth Amendment is to prevent the government from doing just this. It's to prevent it from interfering with the privacy rights of innocent people, a lot of innocent people, in order to find a few that may be planning something wrong. Nobody wants the wrong thing to happen. But the idea that we would sacrifice liberty in order to obtain safety is a canard. This is just a shortcut to make it easier for America's spies to spying on Americans. Shep, they spied on the West Wing. They spied on the Pentagon. They spied on the Supreme Court. They spied on the CIA. This is spies spying on spies. This is the most extraordinarily broad search warrant ever issued in the history of the federal courts of the United States.
That we know of.
That we know of.
Under this logic, the government could send people to all of our homes, put them in a bed next to us, have them watch everything. Under this logic, they can do anything.
Under Senator Graham's logic, he'll be happy with it as long as they catch a few bad guys.
Yeah, well, we'll see how happy he is when he runs the next traffic light and the government agent sitting next to him goes, nope, you ran the traffic light. Here we go. Time to drone you.
Would it be easier for the government if the police could kick down any door they wanted and arrest any bad guy? Of course it would. But who would want to live in a society like that?
The slippery slope is covered in grease.
It is.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
We're not letting this go. Not for a moment. Not letting this go.